good evening, whatever time it is for you. I know that's the beauty of this lovely online world is people from everywhere, all the replays. So good, whatever, good day, everyone. So especially tomorrow is Good Friday, so it's Easter weekend. So a big thing I wanted to talk about, which is really is pretty much kind of we want to make this a way of life for us. It's a pretty big game changer, but like any muscle, it's going to take habit, repetition, really to get the hang of it. Like everything, right? We really need to breaking old habits, instilling new habits. So this one is reacting versus responding, and the big thing with this is to remember that we cannot control what other people do, what other people say, what's going on around us. Like we can't control what's on the news. Like none of these things. We cannot control others. The only thing we can control is ourselves and how we respond to situations. So this is where when people, and I'm sure we've all noticed nowadays, it's in all the videos, so many people are offended by everything. So many people are being upset by everything. These are reactions, right? That instant someone says something, instantly you get upset. What'd you say? This is a reaction. This is not a response. A response is something we do on purpose. It's like, lack of a better word, calculated. We choose to respond, um, right? And how we do it. So this is where a big thing that also plays hand in hand with that and is still super frustrating for me is communication. I have been working on this for over a decade. I'm pretty sure I still suck at it. This is going to be my lifelong battle is for better communication. I did not grow up learning how to properly communicate emotions, things like that. I was pretty quick to anger all the time. So I just didn't have, we didn't talk about a lot of things in my family. So it's not something I was learned at an early age, which is obviously the younger we learn things like languages, anything, the younger we learn things, the easier it is. And it's just second nature. So this is going to be my lifelong struggle, but this is where communication is a big thing. So let's say I'm sure this has all happened to people where someone says something and instantly you're kind of taken aback. Okay, the reaction would be like excuse you and just to like get upset, snap on them, la la la, whatever, right? But in that moment, if we just take that breath and actually engage our thoughts and think, do we need clarification? How many times has somebody gotten mad at you? I know I've had this happen a ton where, and then your response is, no, 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 that's not what I meant because they misunderstood you. So we all do this. We're all guilty of it. We all misunderstand other people. They misunderstand us. This is where the communication comes in. So if we can just take that minute and if something bothers us that someone has said or done, then we can, hey, is this what you meant when you said that? This is what I'm hearing. And then, they'll yay or nay it, right? And then it gives that option to continue talking as opposed to arguing and fighting. And similarly, someone does something, just be like, hey, this is kind of my interpretation of what you did, or this is kind of how I felt from that. Like, did you mean that? Is that what you intended? Like, did you know that's kind of how it came across? Most people do not do things to literally bother or annoy other people. Most people. So most people will be like, oh my God, no, I had no clue. Maybe they didn't see you, you waved, and you thought they saw, like, hey, yeah, I waved at you in the parking lot the other day. You didn't wave back. Oh my God, I didn't see you. Done. As opposed to, oh my God, that bee didn't wave back at me. I'm so mad at her. And now we start some sort of feud over a complete misunderstanding, right? So important. Respond instead of react. So anything negative that comes at you, just take that minute, take that breath. And this is where I recommend, I love my square breathing. You'll hear me talking about it so much. take that breath, calm down, and just be like, okay, did no, first and foremost, clarification. Is this what you meant? Did you just say this? And again, try your hardest to not be like, did you just say that? Like, let's not instigate the situation, right? So, clarification, communication, I'm going to say 90% of all arguments, disagreements, whatever, it's all just misunderstanding. It can all be resolved with communication and responding instead of reacting. And this is the same with people just, getting offended. Well, I'm offended because that's not what I meant. Take a minute, let me explain. Like, let's start talking more, less yelling, less arguing, all of that, right? So, just this is a big thing. And then another point to that with Easter weekend coming, this is so important for people. Most people have at least one family member that is tough to take. Maybe they're extra, maybe they're the black sheep or controversial, whatever it is. This helps immensely. There are sometimes a point where, like, even my brother and I, on many, many things, like we'll say more the political level, we are very much opposites. We agree to disagree. We just kind of make that the no go zone. If he makes a comment on something, then I take that minute and I'm like, okay, he really does believe this, which is no fault. We're all allowed to believe what we believe, think what we think. We all have read different things or have different information, right? And so that is just his belief. He, XYZ. I respect his right to have those opinions. I'm not going to react because I completely disagree. I'm just going to be like, yep, that's something he believes. Next topic. Done. And I respond by, well, agree to disagree, haha, whatever. So, anyway, how about that? And it's done. Argument averted. And because I see so many situations where people are still trying to make the other person see their side, make the other person understand. And if they understand me, they'll be on my side. That's not always the case, guys. We all have, I mean, I think the past couple of years has definitely shown us, and especially Canada is getting to the point with the states with all the politics where it's like very divided and it can be very heated. But it's all good, guys. Like, you believe what you believe. It's good. Move on. Let's maybe even have a list of good neutral subjects people can talk about. But and especially if you do have that person that likes to just kind of get in there and pick at people and stir the pot, take that minute, take that breath. They're like this. So don't take the bait. Take the breath, respond with something. Maybe you change the subject, whatever it is. But all these arguments really can be avoided, right? So this is the perfect weekend for everyone to practice this. And then the other thing I did want to talk about is news, because this plays into reacting versus responding. Watching the news, social media, stuff like that. I learned this last year. So apparently, when you scroll social media, they literally call this doom scrolling because most of the feeds are filled with negative, just really disheartening information, unless you've really made a point to like positive gratitude, yada yada thing. Well, the algorithm has just kind of boost that to you. But yeah, a lot of it when you just pop on can be quite terrible. Unfortunately, they do this on purpose because horrible news gets higher response and higher ratings than just, oh, look at these wonderful people that helped some baby ducks cross the road, right? We all love drama. That's why we watch movies with drama. It's why well, it just popped in my head, but like the Colosseum events, back in ancient Rome were so popular because it was all drama, it was all intrigue, like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen. So they do this on purpose. And even the news, I've noticed that first year of COVID, I really noticed a big, like, does nothing good in the world happen anymore? I remember at the end they'd always spend like 10 minutes like having the heartfelt feel good stories. They'd have some positive things. And that first year of COVID, they really kind of did away with all that. And if you did watch the news, you kind of were left like almost like shell shocked, like, oh my goodness, our world is terrible. What is happening? What? Like, really brought you down for the day. I used to watch the news in the morning, so it really like would impact you. So I haven't watched news in years. If I do watch, like, don't get me wrong, I keep up with things, but I pick articles or I'll listen to something, I'll Google research, things like that. And then it's not to say you can't be informed and you can't watch the news, but this is also like, I don't think I've talked about it on this channel yet, but the if you can't fix it, don't worry about it. If I've mentioned this already, it's really, really huge. Like right now, all the Ukraine, Russia, and Israel, Gaza. You and I cannot literally fix this. If you're a person that goes and protests or you sign petitions, awesome, good for you. You're doing what little you can as a little, nobody citizen like myself. But at the end of the day, we cannot change this. Therefore, sitting at home with all this anxiety, all this stress, all this like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It serves no purpose because no matter what you do, no matter what you decide, you cannot affect that. Like I said, if you're a person that goes out and protests and signs petitions, then that's what you can do. But then you have to go home and know you've done your part, and that's it. Like there's nothing else to be done. So you kind of have to just wash your hands of it and put it out of your mind, or bare minimum, stop worrying about it because this really affects your mental health. Like even this is super horrible, but a little while ago, I did hear a news story about a man in, I believe, BC, who in Canada, we have the MAID program, which is basically government assisted suicide, which is meant to be for terminally ill people. It's meant to be this nice option of like, you're not sitting in hospice for 6 months, dying of cancer. You have the option of the dignified way out. In theory, this is an amazing thing. But anyway, so we have that in Canada. And this guy, again, like I said, I think BC, he got approved for the MAID program because he was so terrified of climate change that he just couldn't stand living anymore. Now, maybe this is a false story. I don't know. It's pretty hard to track these things down, but I did hear this on the media, and I just thought, isn't that awful? And literally, all of that can be avoided because you do what you can, you do your part, and then you have to just carry on living. And it is what it is, right? Where um, you can't change it, you do what you can, and then you have to just not worry about it. And that, again, if you go out and you want to protest, you want to pick up the trash, sign the petitions, like whatever you can do, whatever the solving of the problem you come up with that you are capable of doing, that's amazing. But once that list is exhausted, you have to go to bed knowing you've done everything you can, and that's fine and that's good. And then just continue living your life, period. That's all we can do, right? So I know I got a little heavy, I got a little off into the weeds there, but the point is, when we're doing this social media scrolling, if you are a news watcher, you really just take everything with that grain of salt. I know a lot of it is sensationalized. I've seen a lot of retractions in news lately where they've kind of left out a key detail that really kind of changed the story a little bit. So just know that they do sensationalize a lot to get reactions from us because that's what sells. So you just have to take that step back. Okay, whatever this horrible thing, hold the phone. Okay, it is awful, 100%. I acknowledge that. I see that. Can I do anything about this? Can I affect this? Can I literally help? If yes, Kate, what can I do? Good. Be at peace with that. Do it and know that you've actually done something good to help a situation you're concerned about. If no, it is what it is, guys. You need to carry on. Otherwise, your mental health, like your life, will really be diminished over it. So that's kind of as simple as that is. So getting away from all that heavy stuff, we'll go back to the nice, the Easter, the wonderful. Um, I will say though, for the reacting, the happy, the beautiful, all the laughter and stuff, those are always welcomed reactions for sure. Um, but it is even not a terrible idea to also practice responding in those situations just to get yourself into that habit of not just allowing our emotions to just blurt out. Get those clarifications. Really, it's can be a terrible word, but really stay in control. And again, this is not, we're not robots. I'm not suggesting you turn off emotions at all. Things deserve, laughter's amazing, happiness. These are all wonderful emotions, but it's that anger, the being offended type thing, the maybe extreme sadness or like fear. Again, a lot of things are kind of meant to instill fear. Some people think it's funny to scare other people, whatever it is. And this is where, if we hear something and we get that fear, these emotions will happen. We're literally human, but it's being able to just kind of stop, take that step. Okay, what's the actual situation happening here? And what's a more appropriate, like, how can I respond that I'm comfortable with? Because I'm sure we can all, I've done it myself, we've all been in that situation where I think I was at Costco one time and something happened and I was in a terrible mood because I was definitely not in control of all my emotions at that point. And someone does something, bumps my car, who knows what happens, and I get mad. And maybe I lash out at this person because I've just reached my top and they are the unfortunate victim of my unregulated emotions at that time. And then we have an outburst, or maybe it's at our kids or our pets or our spouse or whatever it is. And then we feel kind of like that big a hole. And afterwards we regret it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. That was not good. That was not nice. Um, that's a reaction. And especially if it's anger, those outbursts, 99% of the time we do regret it. So let's just cut that regret out, take that moment. What's a better response? Because even someone, they're someone irritates you, they're cutting in line, they're doing something like, excuse me, did you know you just did this? And maybe some people really are just kind of a-holes, or maybe they're having a bad day and they don't care, because we don't know everyone's story. We don't know what's happening in their life. Maybe their bucket is full and they're dealing with a lot. Don't take bait. Don't allow people to and I said this before, I don't want to say take your power. No one's taking your power, your energy, your happiness. We freely give that because we are in control of ourselves. This is actually probably one of the biggest things, and I'll probably keep saying it over and over, that we choose. We always make choices. We are in control of our lives, and if we choose to allow someone to take our power, our energy, our happiness, our joy in that moment, we are giving that, right? So that's where that staying in control all the time. And don't get me wrong, especially when someone's saying horrible things to you or whatever, or there's an altercation, this can be really difficult. Not saying it's not, but it is just to keep in mind. And that's kind of that standard to strive for, to not be baited, to not be having fisticuffs in the parking lot. Like, there's no need for that, right? And just to afterwards, like, whether it's a family member or again something happens out, you get in the car, or maybe you go to a different room for a moment, and just to take those few breaths, pull yourself back. Okay, is this worth my time and energy? Are there better ways I could be using my energy? Are there better ways to be giving my time to, as opposed to sitting, stewing, being upset? Because I'm sure everyone's had this. When we get upset, it affects everything. Even if we're trying to watch a show, we're still thinking about that thing that's upset us. We're trying to clean or do chores or even work. We are not productive in that state of mind. So it literally affects everything. And that's why I say, like, that is kind of what I'm talking about. When you give your power away, you're letting this person kind of ruin your day. And, especially if it's some random person in the park, you don't even know them and you've just allowed them to take all your joy for the day. Like, well, that's pretty silly, isn't it? Or we can brush it off and be like, I don't even know them. Maybe they're just a miserable person. Maybe they're having a heck of a go in life. Who knows? Not my problem, not my business. I'm out. I'll never see him again. We're good. Take the cleansing breaths. And like I said before with the square breathing, what really, really helps me is to visualize white cleansing breathing in. So the white air is coming in, it's cleansing everywhere, it's just beautiful. And then when I breathe out, all that negativity, any anger I'm holding, whatever it might be, that gets blown away, and blow it wherever you want, blow it, down, blow it out, just away from you is the point. Cleansing in, positivity in, life is amazing in, negativity out. This helps me every time, and especially I guess technically I'm the black sheep of the family with my positivity, my gratitude, my weird semi hippie way of life. So I do frequently use this because I love my family, but they do test me sometimes for sure. So it's the way they are. It's okay. They don't mean any harm by it. It's just how they live life currently. And most likely, my mom is in her 60s, so most likely she'll never change. So is that something I want to just fight with her till she dies, or do I want to accept how she is and casually make jokes every once in a while and still have a great time with my family, because it is what it is and I cannot change it, so I must accept it and I must carry on, and that's okay, and life is good. And every once in a while, take a few cleansing breaths, return, change the subject. Let's talk about something else. So, yeah, I hope that helps you guys. Really reacting versus responding. Reacting is allowing our emotions to just flood on out and just take control of us, and usually can end pretty terribly with the negative side of it. And that responding is just to take the minute, communicate, get clarity, think it through, and then choose your response. This is, like I said, it takes a while. You're breaking a bad habit of that reaction. You're reacting. You're forming the new habit of responding. It's repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And for every 10 times you fail, that one time you succeed, celebrate it. It's amazing. Our brains are like toddlers. The more we celebrate, the more we clap for it, the more it wants to do that thing over and over again. And don't worry about the other 9 times. Who cares? We're learning. You don't scold a toddler for falling on their bum when they're learning to walk. It's all forming new habits. So, hope that helps. Have a wonderful long weekend and have a wonderful turkey, ham, fish, whatever your choice of food is. I hope it's great. I hope this allows you guys to have an even better weekend. And yeah, just remember the positivity and gratitude every day helps boost your mood. It's amazing, life changing. Um, Respond, don't react. We can do this. I like to think like, okay, me, I'm a grown up. You can choose how we're going to respond. And yeah, have a wonderful weekend, guys, and we'll see you next week.